Let's bring in somebody who is one of the most powerful people in the country. He is the author of The Long Game, a memoir now out in paperback with a brand new epilogue from him and a foreword from President Trump. It is an excellent book, and I read it when it came out. And, Senator, you had every reason to take today off, but you're here to tell America that you're still working. And first things first, are you surprised you haven't been handed the two impeachment articles from the Speaker?
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, the papers have to be physically brought over to the Senate, and we can't go forward until until the Speaker does that. She's apparently trying to tell us how to run the trial. Well, you know, I'm not anxious to have this trial, so she wants to hold on to the papers. Go right ahead.
Well, Senator, why do you think she hasn't?
She's apparently believes that she can tell us how to run the trial. Look, what I've been advocating to Senator Schumer is exactly the same way we handled the Clinton impeachment 20 years ago, which he voted for. You listen to the opening arguments, you have a written question period, and at that point in the Clinton trial, we had a decision about which witnesses to call, and as you can imagine, that was a pretty partisan exercise. But we didn't let the partisan part of it keep us from getting started. So all I'm doing is saying what was good enough for President Clinton is good enough for President Trump.
Leader, do you believe that if she doesn't hand them over, do you have the constitutional authority to hold a trial without her handing them over?
I don't think so. I can't imagine what purpose is served by her holding on to the papers. So sooner or later, I'm assuming she's going to send them over.
Well, Senator, you mentioned witnesses. What witnesses would you like to call?
Look, what we need to do is to listen to the arguments, have a written questioning period, and then decide whether we need witnesses or not. You know, the House went ahead without witnesses. They didn't pursue any of the witnesses in court when the president did what every president since George Washington has done and exert executive privilege. What the Congress could have done is, the House could have done, is to go to court to try to compel the attendance. They didn't do that. They just blew right through that and accused the president of doing something improper by simply invoking executive privilege, which every president has done.
So we know, too, the delay is because it seems as though the Speaker says, I won't relay these articles until Mitch tells me the rules of the Senate. She goes on to say this in Politico: fear is never a word used with me. And the question was, is she fearful of you? You should know right away, I'm never afraid and I'm rarely surprised. So she's not afraid of you and she's rarely surprised. We know that she's politically very astute. So my sense is perhaps she's waiting for more evidence or more witnesses to become available.
I have no idea. It seems to me a rather absurd position to say after you've impeached the president you won't send the papers over to the Senate for the impeachment trial mandated by the Constitution.
Senator, her counterpart, Senator Schumer, had harsh words for you this weekend. Let me play this for you and get your reaction.
So far, Senator McConnell and President Trump have come up with no good reason why there shouldn't be witnesses, why there shouldn't be documents. We don't know what the witnesses will say. We don't know what the documents, how the documents will read. They might exonerate President Trump, or they might further incriminate him. Mitch McConnell has said he's proud to be a partial juror. He won't, every senator has to uphold an oath to render impartial justice, and he said he's proud to be partial. That says it all.
Senator, both your reaction and what was the last conversation you had with Senator Schumer?
Well, first on the impartiality issue, do you think Chuck Schumer's impartial? Do you think Elizabeth Warren is impartial?
No.
Bernie Sanders is impartial? So let's quit the charade. This is a political exercise, a political exercise. All I'm asking of Schumer is that we treat Trump the same way we treated Clinton. We had a procedure that was approved 100 to nothing. Schumer voted for it, to go through the opening arguments, to have a written question period, and then, based upon that, deciding what witnesses to call. We haven't ruled out witnesses. We've said, let's handle this case just like we did with President Clinton. Fair is fair.
Have you spoken recently with him?
Yeah, before we left town, look, we're at an impasse. We can't do anything until the Speaker sends the papers over, so everybody enjoy the holidays.
Well, Senator, we've heard a lot about the Democrats running in districts that President Trump won, but, I mean, you have vulnerable Republicans that you're looking to protect, whether it's Senator Cory Gardner, Tom Tillis, Martha McSally. I mean, are they...
Susan Collins.
Susan Collins, yeah. I mean, are they nervous? What kind of conversations are you having with them?
Well, look, we're ready to sit there and have the trial the Constitution requires. Different members may have different points of view. Some of my members have said, I am thinking of myself as a juror. Others have been quite vocal, believing the case against President Trump is very thin. But we're able to continue to do our business. And I just want to interject here that we've now done 50 circuit court judges. Barack Obama did 55 in 8 years. We've done 50 in 3 years. And that's exactly what the president and my paperback is about. The judicial process that we've gone through over the last 3 years that have transformed the courts. 1 out of every 4 U.S. Circuit Court judges now is a young man or woman who believes in the quaint notion that maybe the job of a judge is to follow the law.
Yeah, they say 1 in 4 circuit court judges are now Trump appointees. In your book, The Long Game, you have the president write the foreword to it. And in it, and I talked to you a little bit about this on radio, Senator, when you were in Kentucky wearing a similar shirt, you had a casual setting, you made a comment that we didn't get as much done as we wanted to because we have a new president who had to get used to things. And I'm just paraphrasing. The president blasted back at you. A lot of people wondered, is Mitch McConnell and the president actually going to get along? How would you characterize your relationship?
Well, that episode was 2 years ago. I think we've gotten along fine, and we're working together. And the reason he and I both thought we ought to highlight the judicial appointments is we think that's the longest-lasting contribution this administration and this Republican Senate will make to the country. Remember, these are lifetime appointments. These young men and women will be on the courts for a very long time, giving both litigants fair treatment when they come before the court and not making up their mind, not trying to legislate from the bench.
Senator, do you believe, and you make a good point about this incredible judicial success that the administration and yourself have brought about, do you believe that's something that by the time we get to the election in November of 2020, that will get more attention and less about impeachment that we're seeing so much now?
Well, I do think impeachment is going to fade away. It will all be completed sometime, I assume, in the early part of the year. We all know how this is going to end. The American people, if they think this is a very significant episode, can take it into account. We're voting this year. I mean, most people I run into, whether they're fans of the president or not, say, well, why don't you just let us decide this? We're in the middle of the election.
And that's really what Karen Tumulty said yesterday, is that the only way this is going to be decided, if the president's going to get into the 4 years, is November for that election. Senator, you're going to be in a tough fight yourself in Kentucky, where President Trump has dominated. Why is it so close?
Well, I don't know how close it'll be. We'll find out. But look, I'm a big target. I'm the second most despised Republican in America by the political left. And they're sending a lot of money to my opponent, and I'll have a spirited race. Look, I don't own this seat. I have to go out and earn it. I'm prepared to do that, to make the case to the people of Kentucky that having one of the 4 congressional leaders, I'm the only one of the 4 congressional leaders not from New York or California. I'm in a very good position to look out for Middle America and Kentucky. I think that's a pretty strong argument to make to my constituents.
You're in a good position, Senator, also to pass along a little bit of knowledge that you put down in The Long Game. Quickly, as people consider going out and buying that paperback for Christmas, what's the biggest lesson you bring to the American people in that book?
Look, politics and governing is hard, and you're going to have setbacks. And if you want to succeed, focus on the things that are important and move the ball forward as rapidly as you can. And the most important thing President Trump and I felt that we could do that would last a long time were these lifetime judicial appointments of men and women who are very sharp and who believe the job of a judge is to follow the law.
And you also point out you had great parents and you had polio at a young age. It really shaped who you are and how much of a fighter you remain. Senator, thanks so much for sharing your story and getting up with us on a day in which you could easily have taken off. We appreciate it.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Senator.
All right, 10 minutes now. We have to